I miss this logo. I miss that intro so much. Anyways, hello everybody, this is Cheeseburger Jesus, and, well, originally I was going to do some DDLC today, just for the meme. Literally, it was going to be meme mods, but I was just browsing around for games, and, published, I guess, developed, published, whatever, by 4 Leaf Studios, The Answer. This was released, hold on, I have the page still tabbed. In October of 2008, 4 years before Katana Shoujo, which is what everyone knows him for. The writing is from Anonymous22, or A22 on here, which did make it to the final team, Nicole R. Murphy, which if you know, you know. Art by Cinematic. Is that Clinimatic? Hold on. Am I misreading that? I can't tell from the font. And then Scripting Delta. So let's start it up. A large part of writing is about striking a balance between your personal ambitions as a writer and the responsibilities you undertake when you choose to pursue becoming a storyteller. Cater too much to the audience and you're pandering. Likewise, if you start thinking that you can disregard their opinions and chase only what you want out of your writing, then it's just a wank. Oh! Did not expect the music to get that loud all of a sudden out of nowhere. First rule, don't insult your audience's intelligence. A writer is only as good as how enjoyable their last book was. Nothing more, nothing less. Screw your messages and intent, save it for later. The minute you decide what is better for your readers, for them, that is when you lose the point of writing, and especially egregious example, putting the intent of characters in brackets after each line of dialogue. Are you serious? Stop screwing around, what arrogance! If you can't trust your readers to be able to interpret your writing on their own, or give them the freedom to form their own opinions, that isn't for you. You have the audacity to charge for that? I don't even know why I'm wasting my time with this genre. Like I'll find a good game here. Of course, I'm talking about original English visual novels. It's crap. For how most of the makers talk about their writing in comparison to real literature, like Tolstoy. It's like staring into a sea of garbage. Second rule, know your medium. Visual novel isn't a book. Where do you get the balls to compare your hour-long game to real literature? Starting to not sound like my normal self. Next, you're going to tell me that visual novels can be compared to movies, shows, and legit video games that aren't just clicking through screens. They can't, because even though there are all these things involved writing, the mediums are different. And don't you dare compare your games to anything if you're going to put so little effort into them. I haven't seen a single OELVN that manages to break the 2-hour playtime mark. That is the third rule of writing. If you're going to aim so low, don't hand out advice like someone who is aiming high, especially people who are aiming high. It's like McDonald's grill cook trying to give pointers to budding restaurateurs. Even when the tips are technically sound, they're unimaginative and bland. A person like you has no right to give advice to people with higher ambitions. Clean your house first! You know, the more I browse the OELVN community, the more I wonder if these games even have a theme. A plot, sure, it's easy to crap out a plot, but where are the themes? Where's the development? A story can't stand without these things. Without development, there is no point to reading a story, because there's no growth within the story. Without change, all a reader takes out of it is the memory of having read the story with the absence of having gained anything from it. Without themes, you're screwing yourself out of one more opportunity to deliver your feelings and thoughts to the reader without coming off as a jackass. Not to mention, without themes, what is your story even about? What's the point? I can't take it anymore. Screw it, even I can do better than this. When I try to give advice, I get shouted down, and a burning thirst for vengeance arises within me. Screw y'all, I'll make my own VN. Well, I don't know, seems like a waste of time. No, we've got this rising vengeance. We will do it. It's been 3 days, and I'm sitting in a grungy bookstore cafe, trying to make the most of a stolen stack of 2-for-1 coffee coupons. Fly buzzes overhead, stopping to land on the light bulb, or on the light bulb on a string that passes for lighting, swinging above my head. It's been swinging since I walked through the door, a sinister pendulum of Damocles. This game is driving me crazy. I can write it, and already have started doing so. I can compose music for it, although crappily. I may be able to code it, because I have a knack for somehow pulling off things I do not understand, but I can't draw to save my life. It'd be an improvement if I did the sprites in CGs and paint. As I am brooding, someone taps me on the shoulder. I turn my chair around to face whoever it is. It seems to be a somewhat cute girl, but I have no time for girls. This is about vengeance. Also, she looks kind of poor. Excuse me. You only drank 1 coffee, right? And if you're going to use a coupon to get 2 for the price of 1, I was wondering if I could have the second one, please? I'm really thirsty and don't have the money. She must be poor. Only someone really down and out would go to random strangers and ask them for coffee. No wonder she looks slightly depressed and worn out. I'm about to tell her to get a job and look at her disdainfully as I let out a bourgeoisie laugh. And then I notice she's holding a sketchbook. I can feel my heart beating quickly, and my blood pounding in my temples, like when they do drugs in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. Are you an artist? A little. I mean, I draw things sometimes, but I'm not like a professional or anything. Leaping to my feet, I almost slip on a napkin, but managed to right myself at the last second and stare into her cold, dull, lifeless eyes. This must be fate. How would you like to be an artist for a visual novel I'm working on? As soon as I say it, I put my hand in front of my face to guard myself from the possibility of being sprayed with mace, but it never comes. What's a visual novel? It's a game that consists mostly of reading text and looking at images, occasionally making a choice between multiple options that may or may not contribute towards changing the plot of the game somehow. The object of the gameplay is to experience the story told within, or all stories if there are multiple plot threads. Either that, or to enable viewings of hentai scenes depicting the protagonist. Basically, they are about getting laid through an anime surrogate. That is why the main character never has eyes. Okay, I guess I'll do it, because I'm really thirsty. I grab her by her hands and almost jump in the air. Yes! What ambition! I can feel the flames of passion burning in me like a lingering ulcer. I'm impressed with your drive. That hunger, that is what young people today lack. That will to excel, that thirst for greatness. No, I'm thirsty. I just want some coffee. I see she's eyeing the stack of coupons even now, interrupting my melodrama, and put them in my pocket. No. Shut up. This has long passed the point of coffee. Anyway, I'm very happy about this. My name is Arthur. Arthur Proxy. Well, I'm Sophie Butthurtco. Sophie? That's a nice name. It's like a delicate flower standing alone and out of place in the contrast of the vast burning fields of hatred and petty vengeance that it raged through my soul like brush fires in California. The hatred upon which this game was found. The monster born when the torch of my justice was extinguished. The flame of truth expunged by the blind darkness of ignorance and faggotry. Okay. Her laugh reminds me of Canon. I projectile vomit onto her shoes. It's okay to employ gimmicks like idiosyncratic speech patterns if you can pull it off, but it's just disgusting when they're almost the only thing defining the character. I hope this doesn't change anything. She looks at her shoes and makes the same face my mom did when I told her I wanted to be an air conditioner repairman. Not really. I require updates! How am I supposed to know how much progress the game is making if I have no idea what you're doing? Leave out the fact that I have no idea what I'm doing either. This is like the blind leading the blind. One hand not knowing what the other is doing, or some other analogy. I don't understand why you're so upset about this. I'm sorry. First rule. If you don't have good synergy between all your departments, you're going to fail. VNs are called that for a reason. The art is always going to be the bigger draw than the writing, unless your writing is so good it gets word of mouth going. But basically, your art is going to be the hook for 90% of people. Speaking of which, that's also why I clicked onto this game when I was browsing, was because the art interested me. I stopped playing The Question as soon as the first sprite appeared on screen. Even though they updated the sprites recently, the memory of the horror that was those sprites still burns in my mind's eye. So I'm depending on you. I need you. She blushes and starts fidgeting, tapping her toes together nervously. What is that? Talking about the structure of visual novels or the nature? Save game. Let's go with the nature. They're actually kind of interesting. Really? Yes! Visual novels use a combination of writing with music and art to give life to otherwise lackluster plots or unexceptional writing. Think about it. Tsukime at times reads like bad fanfiction. If it were a real book, the standards would be much higher. Tsukime is able to make up for shortcomings with visual sound. That's why it's foolish to compare visual novels to things outside of the visual novel medium. Do you know of any books that have branches outside of Choose Your Own Adventure? What books have full soundtracks and character sprites? Can a VN be compared to the dynamic energy and full motion of movies? The paneling of comics? Animation? Never, please! A VN presentation is totally different from everything else. Don't mess around. Admit the strengths and weaknesses of VN, or you're just being delusional. Phantom of Inferno had great cinematic style in its storytelling, but in what movie would you be able to get away with a 20-minute long scene about learning to drive? In a movie, 20 minutes is an eternity. Ever 17 was great because it used the presentation of the narrative and design of visual novels to great effect. Some of the twists were made for VN. But don't be an idiot. VN music is rarely anything special. Art is rarely anything more than generic. VN writing itself is usually crap compared to writing in any other medium. Alone, these things are worthless. I make some exaggerated hand gestures to get my point across better in the way only exaggerated hand gestures can. It's only through combining that they become something more. You must never forget that. That is why it is important to know the medium and to ensure all aspects of the game work well together. Oh, I see. Every part is so equally important. Yes! I don't really know much about writing. Well, first off, you have to keep a tight narrative. A good example of this is Crescendo! The entire game takes place over 5 days and still manages to tell a story. Best part? No time skips. The worst thing you can do, the biggest hack trick of all hack tricks, is using a time skip to cover for real character development. If the game is too short to allow for anything else, why go for that ending at all? If you can't pull off the ending you want, do the ending that will do justice to your story, justice to your reader. Better do something simply and well than worse. Having an outline of what you want to do is important, and will save you a lot of heartbreak and regret. Post-production is to shine what could be better, and you can't forget that it's impossible to get everything right the first time. Oh yeah, style. Style is important because if the style is incongruent with the events, character, and emotions going on in the story, it will come off as incredibly horrible. Good exercise is to attempt to write from the perspective of many different people. An old man, young girl, a retard, a blind man, a poor man, a rich man, a prisoner. Otherwise, the first thing you write is just going to be what you know, and that's always less than you think. Oh. Another thing! Don't ever bring up something once you don't plan to follow up. I don't realize this in hindsight. Get it right the first time. Of course, I'm guilty of a lot of this myself, but the point is, you should get called out on whether or not your stuff sucks. Then you go through the usual bawling, but then there's catharsis. You acknowledge your crap sucks, then you grow. But wait, you said there was always more to edit. But hindsight is... What is that? I know, but just because there's always more to it doesn't mean that you can half-ass it and clean up your mess in post-production. If you aren't good enough to be careful the first time, you'll be in post-production forever. That sounds like a good thing. Creepy people concern themselves with more than being nice than improving. Depends. It's a hard call to make. Do you stick with stuff and stagnate to keep up with a happy appearance? Or do you offer constructive criticism and let those who will learn from it? Learn from it? Come on! Okay, let's say it's you. Would you rather be bad, but have a bunch of yes men tell you that you're amazing, but you go outside of your huge box community, you get rightfully ripped? Or would you rather have honesty so you can improve and have something that is in the end worthy of your prick pride? The choice is obvious. Anyway, I can't forget the cardinal rule of writing. Entertaining your reader over choosing to indulge your whims and wishes as the writer. Once you lose that, you've lost the plot. You lose everything. That is the lonely road I follow. Just like the bitter jerks before me, like James Joyce or Franz Kafka. Great men who wrote for the sake of mocking author hubris and laughing at any and all presumption of greater depth. That is me, only I'm not as talented. Her shoulders sag slightly. Yeah. Understandable. You're not? No. Aw. I can't just choose themes to troll it. Professors decades after my death, like they did. I have themes. Themes of vengeance! Revenge is not a good thing. Yes it is. Remember the cat in the hat? The cat was an a-hole. How would you feel if a bipedal cat with a striped hat came into your house and started breaking things? I think I'd be scared. Maybe you would. I would desire revenge. Revenge against the cat that is destroying my life. Sure, after I got my revenge on asked questions, who created this cat with opposable thumbs? How many more of them are there? What's his goal? How did the cat have so many resources? What was thing 1 and thing 2? Okay, there's a whole lot of questions. H.P. Lovecraft was a decent author who fell into the trap of becoming formulaic. Once you fall into that routine, it's over, and that holds true across all mediums. Aoi Nishimata was a great artist. Yogi have reduced her to a stale one. There's another cardinal rule. It's always more important to think about what people before you have done rather than to dream about what you plan to do right. Are you still here? Go home. Directing phase has begun. Unfortunately, I don't really understand how to direct. So, what is directing? Leave me alone, I'll answer your question when I'm not brooding on my failure. Silence fills the room, lit up only by vaguely sickening glow of the computer monitor. Computer monitor. Cold and desolate, like the surface of that pudding I found in the fridge the other night. Remembering this, I have 2 digestive meds just in case. Okay. When will you be not brooding? She chews the end of a pencil thoughtfully, and I briefly wonder if it's one of mine. Because if so, it's contaminated now, and I'll have to charge her about 14 cents so I can replace it. I guess now. Directing is when you take everything and combine it through the power of code into the actual game. It's a pretty important job. And you can be really creative unless you're a stupid boring plonker. I guess it's like making a game is like buying crap from IKEA. You buy something and the Swedes just give you the parts. The parts are the elements of the game. The director is the Allen wrench you need to put everything together. Oh, I know, IKEA's painful. Whew, okay, I've been shouting a lot. I want to go get a drink real fast. My throat's getting dry. Huh. I like IKEA. Their furniture is futuristic and efficient at the same time. Seems like she understands the analogy. Inspiration! Like a flash of lightning. Talking about directing has gotten me fired up about it. I got it. Lines like, "she smiles," or "I notice she looks sad," shouldn't be used unless they also add something key to the scene. Why be redundant? If you want to show what a character is feeling, isn't that what sprites are for? The effect is more polished, more subtle. It will even bring the reader closer into the story because the feel is more intimate. In fact, to not do it could be almost disregarding the hard work of your artists. I'm really happy you think about what I do like that. I mean, I think it's nice. I don't really know that you... Buddha-san! You're distracting me! I'm most proud of myself until I try to play through what I've just directed and the game immediately freezes a couple of lines in. Don't be a pulse. Play through what you've directed, or what was directed, so that you don't end up creating a bug. Work doesn't end at completion. You have to stand back and look at it again to make sure what you did makes sense. Are you okay? No, can't you see I'm brooding? What do you want? I can't really see her properly with my head at the desk like this. She tries to stand in front of me and tilts her body to the side so that she looks up right in my eyes. Can I try directing? I like the options. Lol, no. Let Sophie do it. Yeah, I'm surprised. You want to direct? Yup. Okay, why? I just want to try it. Okay, get out of the chair and hold it for her. She hooks around the engine, but once she gets started directing, I have to admit she has a knack for it. Kinda disturbing. Her fingers fly across the keyboard. It's almost like she knows what she's doing. Does she? You're actually pretty good at this. Thank you. This is the first time you've said I was good at... Oh, I like this. She's smiling. Yeah, whatever. Have you done this before? No. Well, you are good at it. In an ideal world, all writers would be able to direct themselves. Unfortunately, this is not the case. In that case, you have to know what you want, and all of that has to be communicated to the director if you want your intent to come across clearly. Uh-huh. Okay, so what do you want me to do? I don't really care. Huh? Okay, I guess you want revenge, so I'll make everyone angry all the time. Why did I draw all those sprites if I'm going to use the angry sprite? We can discuss this later. The game is finally done. Yay! What? What's wrong? Aren't you happy? Well, I guess I am. Slightly less angry. Hey! I try to grimace as hard as possible without pulling a muscle in my face or something, but she doesn't get the message. Just because it's done means nothing other than that it's done. But that's still a very good thing. We should do something to celebrate. Celebrate? What are you talking about? It's not like we put a man on the moon. There's no cause for celebration. You made a visual novel, and that doesn't mean crap to anyone but you, but I guess it's alright if it's just between us. Well, I guess we can bake a cake to celebrate. You're going to have to help me, though. I like cakes. She claps her hands together. Good grip. Just so that we're going to make a cake you don't enjoy. I'm assuming since you're an artist and not wearing a beret, you don't like the French. Therefore, we're going to make a Napoleon. I like Napoleon. Okay, then we're making a Black Forest cake, but it'll make me fat. Shut up! I put on my tall Chef Boyardee hat and grab a big wooden spoon. Oh! I like this art. Where's the salt? You need to add a little salt into your ingredients. Salt enhances our ability to taste through stimulation of more taste buds. You need the subtle contrast to make the sweetness really come out. Try to bake a cake without salt. Gotta use iodized salt. The minuscule amounts of salt needed for a cake mean that any higher quality salt is wasted on it, and you might as well get some iodine, as cakes have little nutritional value. Here you go. I was thinking, I kind of like how you tell people how to do things all the time, and I think that maybe you really do care, and we'll talk after the cake. I need 2 eggs, crack them into a separate bowl first, and the way if one is bad, it won't contaminate the other ingredients. You'll be able to pick out fragments of eggshell more easily. Okay, but after, can you please listen to me more? I want to tell her that I just want those eggs, but she's apparently very good at multitasking and cracking eggs. Definitely breaking open the shells with one hand and dropping them into a small bowl. I can't complain. Fine. Really? Is that it? That's the end of the game? No way. Okay. Not what I was expecting, but I mean, happy ending. Guy promised to listen to the girl more. But I really enjoyed. I just had fun with it. I took it and just kept going, running. I'm full of energy now. I'm pumped up from all the semi yelling. But okay, so that's all the time I have to record for today. So this is Cheeseburger Jesus signing out. Bye bye.